Have you ever had a situation that you feel you just can't let go of? It's hard to move past. You've tried all kinds of things to let go and forgive, but it just isn't happening? That's the topic of our video today. My husband is going to be discussing how to handle that and what we should do. Honey?
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this. Let us know.
Awesome. Your eyes look green just like your top. It's changing colors.
Okay.
My lovely, lovely wife with her lovely, lovely eyes.
Great. So now how do we take care of these things that we're unable to let go of?
Remember I told you, in our next life, we have this agreement, right? That in our next life, someone comes to you and tells you, I love your eyes. You don't just jump and say it's me. There has to be another part to that, right? But you know, that's one clue right there. This might be my husband from the previous life. Remember we talked about that?
We have.
But I said now, a lot of people tell you have beautiful eyes. I say, oh, this must be my husband. Don't do that. You have to get the other part. What's the other part?
I have to look at them and see if they have the qualities that you agreed to have.
Oh, is that what it was?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
That's how we found each other in this life.
Oh.
But that's a whole nother video. Today we are discussing, as we get back on track here.
Well, that actually ties in.
Oh, how does it tie that in?
Well, think about it. Before you rear body, you have to go in front of a karmic board.
Okay.
They're the ones that show your karma what you have to balance.
Okay.
So it ties in that way.
Okay.
In a different way.
In a different way.
Uh-huh. Anyway, you're saying, so we're discussing.
We're discussing how to let go of something that's just been...
Or not even to let go, to resolve.
How to resolve a situation.
Right. You know, that seems...
Unresolvable?
Exactly. If there's such a word. All right?
Well, we just made it up if there wasn't.
No, you. Don't do me that. I'm not French. I was just like, we.
Oui. Okay.
No, so, you know, and this happened to me. I learned this one from personal experience, actually. And that's why this one excites me. I remember years ago, you know, there are some guys that I was dealing with, and they were remodeling this building for me. Okay? And we agreed, because they didn't have any checking account, we agreed that I would write them checks, and then they would sign the back of the check.
Okay.
And then I would give them cash. I would cash the checks for them.
I see. So you'd be like a banker,
That's
where
correct.
you have to go and sign the check in order to get the money from the account that
That's correct.
you have the check from.
Bingo.
Okay.
Right? But I'd have to. I wrote them a check first.
Right.
So we agreed that this is what we would do, just to help them out, because they didn't have a job. As a matter of fact, I only did that because they came to me and said they had just come to America, and they didn't have a job, and they came with their families, and I said, okay, let's see what we can do here to make this work for you guys. And they were very good at remodeling buildings.
Okay.
Like, really good. So I said, okay, let's make this work. Anyway, after about 4 months of doing this, we'd done a few buildings, I was contacted by this attorney. And so I asked the attorney, well, why are you contacting me? And we met. I went to the attorney's office, and he told me because these guys, they filed a lawsuit against me. Right, and the lawsuit had to do with me not paying them. That they had worked for me for 4 months, and I hadn't paid them a penny.
Ooh.
And so, of course, the lawsuit involved them getting the buildings and all this other stuff like damages, and we're talking about a few $1 million here, right?
Uh-huh.
And of course, I'm stunned by this whole thing.
Right.
I looked at the attorney, I said, I don't know what you're talking about, but they've gotten paid. I pay them every week. Not even every 2 weeks, every week. They got paid. And they got paid quite handsomely. It wasn't like cheap money. And he said, no, we're going to court. Unless if you decide to settle with us, and we'll take $1 million. Instead of like, I think it was 3 or 4 million.
Wow.
I said, no, I'm not settling for that, because I didn't do anything wrong. And he said, well, let's negotiate some more. And we kept negotiating, but he wouldn't go below his $1 million. That's what he wanted. After months of this, I said, well, let me just get an attorney. So I had to go get an attorney. And I talked to the attorney. It was a lady. And she looked at me, she said, you know, this is a really difficult case to handle. She
How
said,
so?
even though you have these receipts where they've signed, they're claiming that there are other jobs that they did that you didn't pay them, and so you don't have any records of that. And because you cashed the checks, you could be doing something else behind the scenes,
Oh,
and that's what they're taking advantage of.
wow.
And she said, I know you didn't do that because I can see you just trying to help them, but that's their argument. And she pretty much said, I could take your money, but this case might not go the way you expect it to. You could actually lose this case. So of course, by this time I'm really concerned. Anyway, she took the case and she knocked the price down a lot because she said, they're just trying to take advantage of you. So I can't do that to you. Well, we went to court twice, and sure enough, it was looking like we were about to lose the case. And she was good. This lady was really good. But pretty much what she told me was exactly what was going on. They were taking that approach where it's one of those attorneys that they just try to go and sue people and get as much money as they can.
Oh.
It was one of those. And she knew the law office, and that's what they were known for.
That's amazing.
Right. And I saw that. She said, well, we can't keep coming back to court because all they kept doing was extending. And he got paid by how much money they would collect. He would get 50%, so they didn't have to pay him anything while I was paying her. So what they were doing was they were draining my account and hoping that after a while I'll just give up and then settle with them. That was their strategy, and she knew that. She said, no, don't pay me any more money. We have to do something about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I told my friend at this time, Mr. Rowe, who introduced me to the teachings, and he told me, well, why don't you take it to the karmic board? I said, what do you mean? He said, anything like a lawsuit, when you're dealing with a lawsuit, or when you have to go to court for anything, whether it's child support, anything like that, or you have a situation where you just can't let go of, where you just can't seem to resolve it, you take it to the karmic board. Well, what does that mean? Well, the karmic board has a group of ascended masters. There's a certain number of them. I don't remember the exact number. But you're literally going to court in heaven, is what you're doing. So instead of you going to court here on earth, you're going to court in heaven. But keep in mind that, for example, the Lord's Prayer. Remember how the Lord's Prayer goes?
Yes.
Okay, you probably know what part I'm talking about.
Yes.
Go ahead and say it.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
You notice, right? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So remember that, as it is in heaven. So what you're doing is, you are making sure that it first manifests in heaven. And once it manifests in heaven, it manifests on earth.
All right.
Okay, it was so amazing what he explained to me. I said, really? He said, try it. All right? So literally, when you go, at night, you go to sleep, and before anybody tries this, you should contact us, because we have to, you call Archangel Michael or any of your protectors, and they have to protect you before you go to sleep, because this happens at night when you're sleeping. Your soul travels, right? And so before you go to sleep, you call to Archangel Michael, thank him for protecting you, and then let him know that you want to go and meet the karmic board. All right? For him to accompany you to the karmic board. And believe me, you'll be taken there. And you'll know because you will have a dream about the whole thing. And so in your dream, and this is what happened to me, in my dream, I'm there. Right? It's literally like a courtroom. The ascended master is sitting like jurors, and there's one like a judge, and you are there, and then you have your, whomever you choose to be your attorney with you, and normally there'll be one, you don't choose, but there's one there standing with you.
Okay.
And you give the name of the person that you're dealing with, whoever that person is, what group that is, and they will show up. The angels make sure they appear with their representative as well.
Wow.
And what happens now is you present your case to the karmic board, and you do it just like if you're on earth. The difference is that there's no trickery, because there are no earthly laws that affect the spiritual laws. So everything is looked at from a spiritual standpoint.
Oh,
Right?
that's pretty cool.
So none of this stuff where the attorney argues and says, oh, this and this, and you know it's all tricks, doesn't exist in heaven. All right? So everything is dealt with according to the spiritual laws. You present your case, they present their case, a judgment is passed. And once that happens, whatever that judgment is that took place in heaven, believe me, it happens on earth. Because whatever happens on earth, it first took place in heaven. So I went there, I presented my case, let the lords of karma is what they're called. You know, you present your case to them, and then literally it's like it's a dream, but it's actually happening. And you're there, you're talking, you know, just like in a dream. Well, the next time the court case came up, I went there. I didn't even need the attorney.
Now this is outside of the dream. Now this is back in real life.
Back in real life.
On
right.
earth now. Okay.
We go to court, and the whole thing was dismissed, just like it was dismissed in heaven. It was dismissed by the karmic board. They said, no, they have no right to do this because you have made sure that you met your contract, you paid them, and this case is dismissed. All right? And we went to court. The judge just looked at it, and it's like, I've reviewed this case a few times. This is dismissed. You're just wasting time. You're wasting our time. And the whole case was dismissed.
What a cool story.
So that happened to me. It definitely happened to me. And so I know that this works, you know, and of course I thank the karmic board after the case was dismissed. So whenever you have a situation that just looks like it is almost hopeless, but you know that you did the right thing. Now you have to know you did the right thing.
Right.
Don't think that you did the wrong thing, you will go there and they will correct it for you. No. All right, you're going there to get the help. You're bypassing the attorneys and all the tricks that they use with the earthly laws is what you're doing. You're making sure that none of those, you're making those null and void pretty much. You take it to the spiritual heights, let the spiritual realm deal with it, and again, anything that happens in the spiritual realm always happens in the physical. If you remember that, then it's a very simple concept. You go to the spiritual, present your case to the karmic board or lords of karma, they pass their judgment, and it manifests on earth.
That sounds really cool.
Do you have any questions about that?
I don't.
Right.
That was very clear. Very clear example.
So for example, let's say you like in the case of, let's say you feel abused, right? Let's say you were abused by somebody, whatever type of abuse it was, and you just can't let go of it. You know, for whatever you've tried, you said the forgiveness statement, you've said the violet flame decree, you've been to church and you've done penance if you're Catholic, and who knows what else with the other denominations, right?
Right. And
none of it worked. Every time you think about that situation, you still feel like, you feel terrible. You feel like I was taken advantage of, I was victimized and all this stuff. Take a trip to the karmic board following the steps that we talked about, and you present your case to them. You let them know, this is how I feel, this is what happened. And you name all the people that were involved, and believe me, they will show up there.
Question. What if someone watching this video did the wrong? Let's say it was the abuser, and they want to receive forgiveness or balance whatever they did wrongly to individuals in this life.
Well, that's a very good question.
Can they also go to the karmic board
you can go to the
and
karmic
say,
board.
hey, I did all these things, I'm really sorry, I want to make amends?
That's correct. You can go to the karmic
Oh,
board.
that is so cool!
Right? And they will pass their judgment. And of course, you'll be hung. Right?
Right.
Or you'll get poison injection or something. It won't be anything like that.
Oh, I wonder how they handle that.
Oh, more than likely, karma will be adjusted because you have been sincere enough to go and ask for forgiveness to them. That says a lot, right? So more than I'm not talking. This is just me,
right?
Thinking that the way it would work is they would find a way to make sure that works out on your behalf. You know where that thing is, but it gets resolved between you and that individual. Or individuals, whatever you did, we'll get straightened out. That's how it works. So yes, you cool. As a person that's done the wrong can also do that, but don't expect them to say, oh, well, you just go unscathed.
Right.
That might not happen,
No, but at least I would think that for someone who's done wrong and has been
felt that
they've done wrong and they've been living with that for years and they've done their best to try and improve their life, but they're just having a hard time moving on. I would think that by doing that, it would help them at least to be able to move forward in this life.
That's correct. Because whatever will be done on their behalf will take that burden off them.
Right.
You know, they might still have to go through some things, whatever that might be, but the burden of them beating up on themselves and blaming themselves, that will be gone. And they can deal with just the earthly thing, whatever that might be. Yes.
Oh,
That's a good question.
Cool.
That's a very good question. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you feel this information has helped you and you think it might help someone else, and I'm going to put it this way, whether the victim or the one who did the victimizing, I don't know, what'd you call them? The villain?
Bully.
The bully. If you think anyone like that might be able to use this information, please feel free to share it with them. Subscribe, like the video, join us on our Facebook group, Clearing, Healing, and Guidance, and also check us out on Instagram, 190 Vision.